Welcome in to another episode of the Young Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Today's guest is someone that I've known for close to 2 years, that I've been working with and talking to pretty much every day for the last 5 months, to the point that he's probably sick of fucking talking to me. But this is someone that, from a marketing perspective, I see him as an expert. I see him as someone that's leading in his industry. I see his business as something that a lot of people can take an immense amount of value from, and knowing from the amount of people that apply to YNL, the amount of social media marketing agencies and people that want to lead you in, this is the episode that you're going to learn an abundance from, and you're going to learn it from someone that has been there, done it, got the t-shirt a million times, and is now crushing it and generating over 4 million in sales in the time that he's just been doing lead gen the last couple of years. So it's going to be an amazing episode, and thank you for coming on, Nick, mate.
Aye, no worries at all. Very flattered by your statements there.
Expectation.
Aye,
is now through the fuck.
No pressure, but
well, take us through how you got kind of started, mate. Like, obviously, when you messaged me, or when I messaged you, it was like May of 2022, or maybe even, actually no, it was before that. I messaged you like the end of 2021.
I think so. Aye, so it was maybe, I think that was maybe just the point before I quit my civil engineering job.
Yeah.
So I guess just going back to the start, I kind of left school. I think natural progression was that certainly from my perspective, my parents wanted me to go to uni, so it was a case of no one in my family had went to uni, so that was kind of like the setting the bar. So went to uni, civil engineering, again just funneled into that because I was good at maths, good at science. It's like, oh, you should just go and be an engineer. So went and done that, and I worked in the industry for 4 years, and then I think COVID hit. And at that point, it was just, I never really enjoyed what I was doing. Yeah. But that kind of highlighted it to me, because I was stuck in the house, like constantly just stuck in the house, sitting at the desk, tied to the desk. And then I missed the office side of things. So like speaking to people, working as a team, stuff like that. And then it highlighted to me that I actually hated what I was doing. Like I really hated it. So at that point, I think the turning point was we were working on a project down in East Lothian, Marasty. It's like a housing development for, like Bellway Homes. Yep. So we were working for them, and they had asked us to produce like a travel leaflet. My boss asked me if I could do it, and I've always been quite like creative and quite enjoyed doing that type of stuff. So I was like, I'll do it. So I downloaded Adobe Illustrator. And I just started learning how to use it, kind of winging it as I went. Produced this kind of trifold leaflet that the client was delighted with. And the switch for me was when I seen how much my work got paid for the work that I produced. And I can't remember the exact figure, but it must have been like, I think it was like 600, 700 quid or something. And I've maybe spent about 3 hours doing it. And then I've been like, right, but wait now, because I only got paid 15 quid an hour for that. Yep. And I think that was the turning point for me in terms of like knowing that there was maybe something else there for me. I didn't really know what at that point, but I knew there was something, and I knew I could be doing something else basically at that point as well. Yeah,
it's almost like you kind of recognise like the hierarchy of what a business looks like. We spoke about like even like just before like actual outsourcing and the obviously benefits of it. So it's something that seems like you actually just witnessed it. So what was it about obviously you're missing the actual office environment, you're missing being around the other people itself, but what was beyond the leaflet then? What happened? What was the kind of thought process beyond that? What did you then
so I guess at that point I had obviously started dipping into the kind of Adobe stuff, the Illustrator. I started looking at video editing, so Premiere Pro, even like motion graphics and stuff as well. So we converted the loft. Well, I say we converted the loft in the flat, mate. We literally floored it, and my mate put plasterboard on the sides to kind of like try and keep the heat in. It was fucking pointless because in the winter it was freezing, right? But I'd be up there say I started my work at 9, I'd be up there from like 4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah. Like just sitting for 5 hours learning how to do all this stuff. Then I would work at night as well. So I literally, I don't know if again, when there was a point where I got so sick of my work that I just thought like, fucking something needs to change here. Like I need to do something to just get me out of this rut. And And if that meant working 5 hours in the morning before I done my 9 till 5 and then 5 hours at night, then that's kind of for me, that's what it had to be.
Yep.
So I just started learning everything in terms of the design stuff. Started doing like stuff like logos for people. Like I'm talking like 25 quid logos and that.
Yeah.
Then I soon realised again, I can't leave my job if I'm making 25 quid logos. Like how many am I going to have to do them a month? Then I just took a natural progression into, right, I've kind of learned the graphic design. I can now go and do social media content. And that was, what, you're talking like 3-4 years ago now? So that was back in a time where it was acceptable to do like fucking graphics and stuff like that, like stuff before short form content came about. Then I kind of got to the point where I was nearly earning enough to leave my job. But then I think I had a couple of clients churn. And I recognised at that point I didn't ever want to be in that position where I think with social media content, unless it's very results driven, at the end of the month someone can always question the value of it, if that makes sense. So it can be quite subjective because everybody thinks they can do it themselves. Then I just got into, I was doing social media for a client and they were like, oh, could you help us get more work? It was a pressure washing client, one of my first clients. And I just ran Facebook lead forms or whatever it was at the time and started getting them results. And I think for that point, I just enjoyed the process of helping people get work. And then it was a very black and white transaction at that point. Like, you pay me, I get you X, and like there's no question in terms of the value that you provide at that point.
There's an actual tangible outcome. Like, because we spoke about it before, like when it comes to content, like it can be... say someone's editing or producing content for you, it's like they could be, in their mind it could be like the quality of the content, how much time it's saving you, but in your mind you could be wanting clients from it or leads inbound, and if you're not getting many, it's like it could be very easy for someone to just at the end of the month just say, you know what, mate, I'm going to allocate this cash elsewhere. So I guess like when you actually started doing the lead gen side of things, like doing it for the pressure washing client, how did you learn it? Did you just fucking delve into it?
So again, when I said I was learning everything, like when I was learning the graphic design, like I basically self-taught myself everything. So even how to use a camera, like I taught myself how to take photos, I taught myself how to use video, albeit back then it's like when you first start something, it's like you naturally, I don't know if there's like a bias there, you think you're fucking amazing at it, when in reality is you literally know like nothing. But I kind of learned it well enough, and at that point, again, we're going back 3-4 years, so I done video ads for them. And I mean, if you think about like what pressure washers putting out video ads, so naturally it just worked very well. And at that point, that was probably the first point I started doing video ads for people. And the pressure washing guys, so again, they came to me when they just started. Now they've got 3 vans. It's not the type of business that I would take as a client now, but I do still help them. They've now got 3 vans. They're pretty much probably the top rated pressure washer in Edinburgh. So I got a lot of satisfaction out of that. Like a lot of satisfaction that I never got in my previous job, where I felt like I wasn't impacting anyone's life. I felt that it was just a case of like turning up and clocking in and leaving and I don't know, just mundane shit, versus with the lead gen, I feel like I can directly impact someone's life, directly impact their business, and just do a good job for them, and I just directly impact their life, basically.
What about that's so exciting for you?
Well, I guess 1, I get to make good money, but also 2, the main thing probably is that you get to see their business grow, and you get to look at that, and you can see that you played a part in that as well. So I guess it's kind of being part of that, but you're not like, you don't work in that business, but it's you still get to be a part of that growth and help them grow.
And we've noticed that with like we'll touch on like some of your kind of bigger clients now and stuff like that as we kind of get into the journey a bit more, but the one thing that has always stuck out to me is that like the overall like skill stacking that you've really basically just fucking became obsessed with. Like you had the design work, you had lead gen, you then learned PPC, you then learn a camera, like actually almost like the videography stuff before the PPC stuff, but like you have just stacked out, and even now it's like the sales side of things. You're wanting to help companies now with sales as well. So you're stacking up all this shit, and to me, mate, it just screams something that's impossible to replicate without an abundance of work and the right people in place. What is your kind of what's your kind of philosophy behind that? Like, is that something that you've consciously done, or?
I'd like to say it was strategic, but I don't think it was. Like, I think I just became obsessed with learning new things. And I guess you would probably agree that now, like, me doing all those things is it's like what got me here is not going to get me to the next level. But at the same time, like, I certainly don't regret taking the time to learn absolutely everything, because when I go to hire now, if I make the wrong hire, like, the whole kingdom's not going to come crashing down, because I can step into anything and fix it. So I'd like to say it was strategic, but I don't think it was. I think it was just me naturally wanting to learn new things. And then just along the way, noticing maybe certain things that could again enhance the results for the clients, and then just learning as much as possible as well. Which is class, man. And I guess, like, from that kind of power washing client onwards, then, like, how did you start to acquire clients? Like, how did you start to kind of scale? So I guess even when did we turn on ads? Like 2 months ago? Or last month? So
it was last month, January.
Like, up until that point, I've never done any form of, like, acquisition like that. Everything's been just referrals, word of mouth. I guess when I niched into trade and home improvement, working with local businesses and getting results for them, naturally they speak to each other, and they've all got kind of close connections. So very quickly it became, right, who's running your ads? Oh, it's Nick that's doing it. Right, can we speak to them? And then it kind of snowballed like that. So up until probably very recently, I've pretty much built it on referrals and word of mouth.
Which is, like, the basis of that is actually getting results for clients, the basis of actually, like, referring. And I think that's something that the work that we've done together, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point, like, building an incredible delivery process that delivers results is what will allow for you to obviously generate clients, short term, long term, whatever it may be. But what a lot of people, I see a lot of agencies that come through, maybe it's like I'm in Gadsby's fucking course or whatever, they learn a bit about obviously running a lead gen agency, and then before you know it, boom, they're doing it themselves, and they'll start with, like, ads. And it's like, you can learn very quickly with ads, you can fail fast, you can, if that is what your intention is. For us, for example, it was like, we want to fail as fast as possible with ads so we can learn and understand what works. But I feel like a lot of these individuals actually just see ads as the only way to acquire clients without actually learning everything that needs to be done in order to build a proper client acquisition system that is predictable and scalable, which we've spoken about a lot. I guess, like, from that kind of point of getting the power washing client up until maybe about 4 months ago when we started working together one-to-one, what was the kind of journey like for there? What did that kind of look like?
So a book that I gave you recently, Sabri Subi, Sell Like Crazy. I read that when I never had the right clients to implement it for. So I read it when I had clients like the pressure washers and whatnot, and I mean, I went through the whole book and I tried to implement the strategy. And looking back now, I guess again it comes back to the point where when you're just starting out, you feel like you know a lot more than you do, when in actual fact you know fuck all. So I essentially made a high value content offer for the pressure washers, and I can laugh about it now, but looking back, it was like, I think it was like five crucial warning signs of a cowboy pressure washer, right? And then
it sounds fucking eye-catching, by the way.
Class, but it flopped. And the reason that it flopped is because if you're going to get your driveway pressure washed, right, it's got to cost you 150 quid, right? So the risk of you making the wrong decision based on who's going to provide that service is pretty much minimal. Like, you're going to lose 150 quid and you might need to pay someone another 150 quid to do it right. But when you start getting into higher ticket stuff, people need more education and they need more information to make a decision. So that's when that strategy tends to work a lot better. Yeah.
into someone that has no idea what a high value content offer is? How would you explain
Valid
it?
point. So a high value content offer is essentially, it can come in the form of a PDF guide or a video guide, and what it does is it basically just answers all the burning questions that someone might have about your service. In essence, it's just delivering as much value to them as possible. So the first time I implemented this strategy and it just fucking took off was with the garage conversion company.
Yeah.
Derek came to me and he had no website. In fact, they'd never done a garage conversion before, so it came to me with an idea. In fact, I'd done his logo as well. So he had nothing, no website, no logo, no reviews, no proof of having even delivered a garage conversion. I basically built him a guide that was called The Ultimate Guide to Your Dream Garage Conversion.
Yeah.
Still have it to this day, and we're going to use it to launch next week again. And in terms of tying that back to what's in a high value content offer, it just answers all the burning questions, right? Yeah. So if you want to get a garage conversion, there might be some unknowns. So one, you don't know if you need an architect, you don't know if you need a building warrant, you don't know how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost. These are all questions that if people don't have the answers to them, if you put an ad in front of them saying, do you want a garage conversion? They're not going to ask for a quote, because in the back of their mind they're thinking, oh well, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. So basically what it does is it just answers all those questions and takes them from a position where they're not ready to buy to a position where they are ready to buy.
I love it, mate. And I think it's something that like so many people, like what we've spoken about it with the client acquisition system we set up together, there is, when individuals are running ads, the amount of ads that I get served, even Jack now like fucking sends me ads all the time, and it's like it's straight into like, buy my shit.
Yep.
And it's like people aren't processing that like these individuals have seen you for 60 seconds, man, if that, and then you're saying to them, come buy for me.
Aye, I think the temperature of your ads needs to match the temperature of the audience.
Yep.
So if you're putting your ads in front of a cold audience, like you can't even just be putting ads in front of them saying buy from me. Like, they've never seen you before, you've not built any trust, any form of credibility, like. But again, it's scary how many people you see going down that, and you're just looking at it thinking, that's fucking never going to work. You're literally just burning cash.
Is this something that you like explain to clients, I'd imagine, regularly when you first start working to them? And if so, how do you explain it to them, the importance of it?
So for me, a lot of the strategy is around kind of building trust, building the brand. So it's almost like helping them build the business long term and sustainably, instead of just like quick results and results at all costs. The way I explain it to clients is, say if you take the garage conversions for example, so you've got 3% of your market that are ever ready to buy at any given moment. So those are the people that if you put an ad in front of them saying, do you want a garage conversion, they're going to take you up on it and get a quote.
Yep.
Now, again, 3%, so they're few and far between. Then you've got the people that are problem aware. So, you've got the people that are in research mode underneath that.
Yep.
So they've been thinking about it, right? But they still don't have all the answers that they need to make a decision. Then below that, you've got people that are problem aware. So potentially, well, a garage conversion solves the problem of most of the time not having enough space in your home. So obviously there's loads of different things that can solve that. So you've got a garden room, whatever it is. And then you've got people that aren't problem aware. So people that might be, I don't know, they might have some stress because they've not got enough space in the house, but they've not got to the point where they've identified it in their head as a problem.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean to say that you can't find a way to sell to these people. Like, you still have a solution for them, you just need to find the right way to present it.
I love it, mate. And I love it because it's something that, like, when I went through Becker's program, we spoke about this. Sabri Subay obviously speaks about it in great detail as well, which is the closest book I've actually found to replicate a lot of the same information in Becker's program, which was like a fucking, a proper high ticket program. And I think the main thing I took from Becker's program was most people run ads to that 3%, when in fact, if you want to build a truly scalable client acquisition system, you need to be able to take people from being uninterested to buyer capable through a journey, which for us it's ads into a funnel with a VSL, then those into an actual free value process that they get fucking an abundance of value through emails, and then into a really seamless sales process that will require to be fine-tuned. Now, when it comes to the buyer capable side of things, the thing I love about the high value content offer and the way that obviously CyberSubi breaks it down, like you're ticking all the boxes to appeal to 100% of the market, which is something that like I found so compelling. Like because when I thought it was like, cool, it's just going to be young entrepreneurs that are aware that they don't have anyone around them.
Yep.
When in fact, if we really understand our ideal client and we write like good fucking copy, because the biggest thing I'm taking from what you're saying is like you understand a garage conversion company's ideal client to a fucking T. Like see the way you're speaking about their challenges, like everything from top to bottom. It's very clear you understand that, and I think that's it. To me, that's been the biggest fucking difference between individuals that really know their shit with marketing and individuals that are just cowboys that know how to run an ad campaign.
Aye, so I guess it all just comes back to strategy, doesn't it? Like anyone can run ads, but like if you've not done the deep dive before it to really understand what the solution that the service is, well, the problem the service is solving and what that ideal client looks like, but also what they look like at each individual stage of that pyramid as well. Because again, each person at each individual stage of that pyramid is going to need a different message put in front of them as well.
Yep. Which I guess like for your clients, how you I know obviously how you set it up, but like what is the structure that you're creating, almost like an ad campaign for your clients? Like what is the structure you're putting in place for them?
So it's basically a combination of two, because obviously we're going to want, you've got your 3%, like the client obviously still wants to get the 3%, so that's where the kind of direct offer ads come into play. And I think that's what most people do, is they'll just lean heavy on the direct offer stuff, which again, if you're in, it can vary on industry, but certainly in my space where it's local service-based businesses, if you're just, and I try to communicate this to clients as well, is that if you're just continually going to market saying buy from us, buy from us, buy from us, you're just, one, your results are going to stumble, and two, you're just going to piss people off as well. So versus if you can be seen in the local area to be someone that helps people make an informed decision, educates them, one, it's going to get you better results, and two, it's going to help build the brand as well, because people see you to be delivering value, so then they see you as, again, like it doesn't matter what it is, like they see you as an authority in that space as well.
And the biggest thing I love about that, mate, is that like you are willing to put in, like when we think about this, the proper steps to create a successful ad campaign, it's not fucking easy, and it can't just be done overnight to do so. Obviously through us actually doing it consistently, for example, when we worked together on putting up your client acquisition system, that was like what, a couple of weeks, 2 3 weeks between cool, this is what we're going to do, and like actually making it happen. Now that's came from the fact that like you've literally done paid ads for fucking 3-4 years, and obviously I went through a program like Becker's program. I've been around fucking entrepreneurs like literally every day multiple times for 3-4 years also, and that's what fast tracked that fucking 2 to 3 week window to do everything. But what a lot of people don't understand is that like when you don't have that knowledge, if I'm thinking about us putting our first ad campaign live, all the problems, but you had to literally teach me how to even set things up on fucking ad campaigns. Connor Joss as well fucking helped massively. It's like learning that from scratch. I remember Gary Wilson said to me, he was like, you can get your high ticket offer up, running through paid ads, ready to go, and you can watch all of Alex Becker's program in 2 weeks. Mate, it took me 6 weeks and I still didn't even have an ad campaign live. Like I remember Jack saying to me, he'd never seen me work the hours that I did. It was 18 hours every day. My mum barely seen me. I wasn't at the gym. Like I was obsessing over like just getting this fucking sorted, and I still didn't get anywhere close. And that's the part that people aren't willing to do.
And I think, again, with that, people can sometimes overcomplicate it as well.
Yeah.
Like, because the shit that you set up in Ads Manager and stuff is not the important stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably get away with getting some settings wrong, and maybe not having a warm audience and a cold audience, and maybe just having a cold audience. And like, as long as those other components are, you've kind of planned them well enough and you've got a strategy for them, you can get away with it. So I think people can, I think you would kind of testify to this as well, that it's not as complicated as people think in terms of the actual building of everything. Where the results come from is the strategy behind it, essentially.
Because when you look at like Ad Manager and fucking like the actual looking at it when you've never seen it before, because I spoke to my mum's wanting to learn ads just now, so I'm helping her with stuff. She's going through the master classes that Connor's put on, yourself's put on within YNL, and she's coming to me with so many questions, but the initial feeling for her was like overwhelm.
Yep.
I'm looking at this and it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. But see, when you get past that hurdle, you really do realise how easy it really is. But also, like, you helped me massively. Like, I was having so many issues with the Facebook Pixel, like, middle of last year. I just couldn't get it to fucking work. But actually, all that pain of fretting and stress and trying to get it to work has helped me understand how to navigate it in a way that, like, is so comprehensive. Like, I can go in and out fucking within 5-10 minutes and get exactly what I need from it. Which is nuts. But I'd imagine that's what a lot of your clients are, like, struggling with from the overwhelmed perspective. And even from them, I can understand how you blow them away when you hop on a call with them and they think you're just setting up an ad campaign on Facebook ads and they have to, like, put together the creatives and shit. It's so much more than that.
So I think that's probably the difference. Like, if someone's just starting out doing it, and obviously I just only speak for experience, is that you kind of need to communicate the value that you're providing in terms of strategy, because that's where the golden nuggets are. Yep. Versus, like, if you just go to someone and say, I'll run your ads, it's like, well, how are you any different from the other fucking 15 people that have dropped into my Facebook DMs last week trying to run my ads for me? So I think that's the key thing, is to be able to communicate the strategy to clients so they can really understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it and how it works.
Yep. 100%, mate. I couldn't agree more. So, taking it back, because we kind of went into fucking marketing secrets, knowledge, all sorts there, which is fucking class, which we'll spend a full fucking time period deep diving all of that. When it comes to back to that kind of power washing client, I feel like the 4 months ago, like, kind of time period, what kind of happened in between there and the clients you acquired?
So obviously I touched on the fact that I built the high value content offer through the pressure washers. Obviously it bombed, it never worked. I then picked up a garage conversion client. Obviously Derek came to me and never had anything, nothing at all, starting the business from scratch, and he says, look, would you be able to get us results? And I was looking at it thinking, like, fucking hell, he's not even done anything. Like, there is literally nothing there to sell, right? So you can't put a picture of conversion because he's not done a conversion. I can't get him speaking about a conversion because he's not done a conversion. So it's like, what can we do? And then it kind of clicked to me. I was like, well, what if that high value content offer strategy worked for them? And I took a punt. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And I basically prepared the guide, pulled it together again. It had all the information, all the key information that people would need to make a decision. Then I got Derek and Gary, we went to their unit. This was a botch job, right? It looked like, so we brought the camera in and we got them to get like a big white sheet.
Yeah.
So pinned up a big white sheet, and then they were sitting on like a big, it was like a plastic fucking deck chair or something in front of this white sheet. Ran the camera, and I literally just got them to sit in front of the camera and say, if you're struggling for space in your home, a garage conversion might be a great option for you. And then it just spoke about the pros and the cons, and then it was like, there might be some things that you're unsure about.
Yep.
For example, do you need an architect? Like all the unanswered questions. And then it was after that, the call to action was like, by the way, we've pulled together a free guide that you could download by clicking the button below. And I think I generated them 285 leads at £7 a lead, cost us $2,500, and they generated 180 grand. So I think that's like if my maths are right, it's about a 72x, 73x return.
Fuck me.
And then at that point I was like, this fucking works. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, because I was doing the calls and stuff at that point as well. So I was getting the guide downloads, picking up the phone saying, hi, it's Nick here from the Garage Conversion Company. I noticed that you downloaded our free guide yesterday. Just a quick question. What motivated you to download it? And at that point they would just open up and say, oh, we've been thinking about it for a while, we're not too sure about this and that. And then that opens the door for you to then just answer those burning questions that they've got.
Yep.
Then you can sell them into an appointment. And I was just, Derek has never made, so even he'll confess that the business is now 2 years on.
Wow.
He's never made as much money as he made in that first 90-day period.
Wow.
So to the point that we are now reverting back. Like, he was keen to move away from that, but we are now reverting back to that because it worked so well.
That's fucking mad. And then in terms of over that 2 year window, like how much has been generated for Derek now?
So it'll be approaching, but it'll probably be about 1.5 million, approaching 2, I would imagine. Certainly in last year alone, I generated him 700 grand.
Yep.
I think he done about 850, 900,
Mm.
which again came from referral. So again, if you're speaking about the kind of brand and stuff like that, then everything that got the 700k
Yeah.
probably impacts a lot on that additional revenue in terms of referral and stuff like that as well.
Just fucking mad. And when you're thinking about like what you said at the start with the civil engineering, like what excited you about that, you said the fact that you could doubt to impact someone else's business and livelihood.
Again, I think it's just seeing it grow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I feel like because I've done that with Derek from the start, I feel like I'm quite an integral part of that business.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is it like a sense of like a feeling of belonging in something, a feeling of being part of something and seeing it grow?
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things about it for me.
How does Derek, has he ever like expressed like an immense amount of gratitude? Like,
he does silently.
yeah.
He fucking hates to admit when I'm right with anything. But no, I think he does. I think he does.
How have you, because that was one of the things that you spoke about before, like you were chaotic from an aspect of like no systems, no SOPs, but you were getting people incredible fucking results, mate. And the biggest thing that I took away from working with you was that like your client comms weren't systemized because you just fucking loved speaking to your clients and the relationship you built with them.
But I think I still do that now, even though we've put the systems in place. I think when it comes back to the retention that I've had as well, like that plays a big part in it. Even I was speaking to Graham at the kitchen depot yesterday, it was like it's very like clear that you're just on the pulse with everything.
Yep.
But then that's because I'm speaking to him all the time.
Yep.
And like he's coming back to me and saying, oh, maybe we should do this, and then I'm back to him straight away coming up with solutions. So again, it's not like most agencies think that they can just, or certainly the ones that are just starting out think that they can just sign up a client and just go into Ads Manager, switch on some ads and just fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
But again, like I think clients pay for that, like that close relationship as well, because it feels like you're an extension to the business as opposed to just like that's the ads guy.
Yeah.
So I guess it's being a strategic partner in terms of like I can help you solve not just your lead generation, but now I can help you solve like if you're struggling to sell. So that's the next bottleneck. We can help you solve that, and then it's like, right, we can't deliver the work for you, but if you're struggling to find the people to deliver the work that you need to hire, we'll help you solve that problem as well.
Yeah. And I think it comes to like two things. Like one of the things you said at the start was that part of the civil engineering job that you started to hate was during COVID, you weren't speaking to anyone. You were just sitting in the gaff. The second thing is that like I feel like the majority of the reason why there's so many of these like cowboy lead gen companies is because they are sold the dream of 5 hours a week, man, kick your feet up, print $2,500 a month retainers, and you can just fuck off to Bali and like just do nothing. And it's like, see, when you start something with that, like I understand the importance of having a clear goal in mind to like work towards. But see, when you have that kind of like false expectation of reality that that's going to happen right now, you actually stop doing all the sweating all the important shit that is going to get you there. So for example, like the stuff with Derek, the stuff with the kitchen depot, it's like that's all shit that you were doing because you didn't have the intention of being in Bali and fucking only working 5 hours a week. Like you had the intention of like wanting to directly impact companies, their lives, get them fucking results, and part of what you loved was fucking talking away to people, mate. And I think it plays a huge role, mate. Huge role. And
I think for me it was obviously, as you say, you've got all these courses where it's like you can be earning 20k in the next 6 weeks and that, and it's just like, I think that naturally as humans, I think we always look for the silver bullet, and we always want to believe that there's a silver bullet there as well. And I spent thousands of pounds on courses, thousands on like ad courses, and they were all the same. It was just all the same generic shit, like here's how to set up a campaign. Like again, going back to what I said, all the stuff that doesn't get you the results. It's just showing you how to go through the process of setting up an ad campaign, how to structure it. And then even at that, you could go and buy a course that's so generic, which I wasted a lot of money on. And basically, because I was doing local service-based businesses, a lot of the stuff that I was getting taught on these courses never even applied to what I was doing. So it might have been like e-com or whatever else. So then you're paying to learn something, and it's no. Again, it just doesn't work.
So when you're thinking about Sabri Subi's book, how much value would you equate that to, as opposed to all these other courses?
Oh, massive. And it cost me nothing. To pay for shipping. It's mental, but that's crazy because of what the shipping's like. I think it's like fucking 10 quid or something.
Yeah.
So then that was the turning point for me, and I've only paid a tenner for it. But I guess people didn't want to sit and read books and stuff. They're looking for the silver bullet. They're looking for that course that's going to take them a couple of hours, and it's going to tell them how to build a lead generation agency or whatever it's going to be. So it's like they don't want to do the hard yards, and it's like what as well. I think because the book's a tenner, but maybe the course is £1,000, people just assume that the grand course is going to provide them more value than the £10 book.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate, because when I'm thinking about like the book itself and reading through it, it's super actionable, right? Like there's even just like the first 120 odd pages of it, he's asking you to do things that would allow for you to just go away and implement it directly into your business or someone else's business, which is fantastic. And if you think about people's unwillingness to read books, the second barrier is that they're unwilling to do the things that it's asking them to do when they're fucking asking them to do it. And also I think like there's parts of the book that I understand really comprehensively from 3-4 years of working with clients every single day and talking away to them and understanding their problems, understanding their pains. And I feel like a lot of people will start out wanting to run lead gen and they'll have fucking no idea what their ideal client's desires, wants, any of that shit actually is, and they have no idea how to figure it out either. And I think that's like when they go through something like a book where it is do it yourself, it is completely up to you to extract the value and apply it to your business. People like need their fucking handheld, mate, to like walk through that shit and like implement it, when in fact like this is the same for yourself, same for me. Like I have learned the desires, the wants, that steep kind of learning curve from just being immersed and just talking away to people, man.
I think there is an aspect of that as well, is that if you were to say you were to just start out running an agency, like you wouldn't have the answers for that. Like, and it's not something that you can really Google either. So I guess it just comes from the experience of just throwing yourself in there and just working with people and understanding what it is that they actually struggle with. And then along the way you'll pick up other things that they struggle with that you again might not have been aware of, and you're not going to find on Google as well. And
then being like willing to spend, right, to learn as well, which is like a big thing that we spoke about often. Like we could not believe that the biggest, highest performing hook in our ad copy was being lonely. Like we could not believe that, mate, and nor did we even want to talk about it, because it was like originally when we found it, it was like, well, are we going to attract individuals that are maybe got a bit of a victim mindset, that sort of stuff, like that was the kind of questions that were raising in my head. And I was like, but that was why I started the network. I didn't have anyone around me that was within business. I didn't necessarily see myself as lonely, but that is the pain, that is actually what I was feeling. And since then, mate, since dialing the fuck in on that, mate, the leads, like I was showing Connor yesterday, like 155 leads in the last 30 days, 75 applications. And it's all because there's this like the ads take you into a funnel, take you into a sales process that's all congruent with this one core pain that is the deepest want for young entrepreneurs to be solved, which is that they're fucking lonely within business, man, and they don't have anyone around them. I think I was thinking about this driving here as well, and like in terms of that lonely thing, I think for me, like I fucking love working, right? And a lot of people probably around me didn't understand why. So I guess when you speak about that lonely thing, it's like, well, if I never found you or I never found the network, would I be where I am? Because maybe if someone was in my ear saying, oh, why are you working so much? Like, maybe you should just take a break. Like, you're going to run yourself into the ground. Like, I might have just started listening to that. But then it's almost like if you surround yourself with people that are just as obsessed as you, it makes you feel like what you're doing is normal. Versus if you never had that, you could go a completely different direction. So I think that's important as well. Like, it's massive to just have people surrounding you that are just obsessed as you. I think like we don't realise that we're in such a bubble. Like I was saying this to Connor yesterday, actually, the acquisition.com hat from, or it was Alan I was saying it to, actually, that hat, like I bought that thinking, when I go into Glasgow and I wear it, when I go to the gym and I wear it, there's going to be people that are going to spot it and go, fucking hell, mate, you like fucking Hormozy. I have wore this fucking cap like 50 odd times since $100 million lease came out. Not fucking
Not a
once.
soul has said anything to you.
Or even noticed it. I've not even seen anyone looking at it, mate. And it's like, to us, like in business, it's like if you don't know Hormozy, it's like, what the fuck? Like, are you living under a rock? When in fact, like, you just don't realise like how much of a bubble you're in. And it's the same shit with this, where it's like the new client Risto who joined, he's Estonian, fucking amazing young guy, 18 years old, you know, had the decision of going to uni or like starting his own business. He started his own business, and he voiced on me the other night, and he was like, do you think I've been naive to just go straight into business rather than go to uni? And I'm like, firstly, like, where's that thought even came from? Because it's probably not came from you. It's came from somewhere else. And the biggest reinforcement I made to him was that, like, the best thing you can do is just to continue to talk to people that don't see you as fucking naive and are actually doing the shit that other people are questioning. Like, get on calls with people that are fucking in business, had been in business since they were 18 as well, and fucking smashing it. And I think it's huge, mate. We live in such a bubble. Back to the garage conversion company. So you got that result for them with a high value content offer. What then happened beyond that point?
So I guess at that point it just clicked that it was going to work. Like, I'd found something that works, because I think before that it was almost like everything was so unpredictable. Like, I'd launch ads, you'd maybe get results for 2 weeks, because Facebook's naturally good at finding those people initially that will buy from you. But very quickly that pool of people starts to disappear once your ads have been served to them. So for me, it was, before I found that, there was so much unpredictability in terms of, like, mate, I was fucking refreshing campaigns every 2 weeks because I was just constantly having a new creative. And then when I found this, I was like, well, this is going to change the game, because I'm not going to have to be making ads every fucking 2 weeks, because that was the biggest one of the biggest headaches I had. Then I guess it just kind of snowballed from there. Like, people seeing the results I got for Derek. Then locally, other businesses started wondering, right, how's Derek just set up a business and he's literally went from fucking 0 to 100 in about 12 months. And people, like, I don't know, tradesmen and that, I think naturally they're always looking at each other and each other's businesses. So I guess my kind of reputation for doing it just kind of snowballed from there, into just getting referral leads and referral clients,
which is class, man. And I guess, like, fast forward to 4 months ago when we started working together, what were some of the pains that you were experiencing from an aspect of, okay, cool, you've scaled to this point where you've got referrals, you're getting people results. What were the things that were stopping you from moving forward, and how did we end up solving them?
So I think I was probably at capacity in a sense that what I was doing was I was hitting the ceiling at that point. And again, just a bit manic. Like, I never had anything systemised. I never even had an onboarding process, which is mental to think, like because I was like, it's not like I was earning peanuts. Like, I had no onboarding process. It was literally a case of, like, right, I've signed a client, what's next, right? Fuck it, I like building the funnel, I'll go and build the funnel first. There was zero processes in place at all. I didn't have any predictability in terms of acquisition. So it was literally just a case of, and I mean, I done all right off it, but it was just a case of whenever someone came to me, I would take them on as a client, because again, it was an easy sell because they've came to me through referral. So I had no predictability in terms of that. I think generally just everything was a bit chaotic. I just never had processes in place for anything at all. And I think what comes with that is it's like stress and overwhelm, and you don't know what you should be doing. And also something as well that you've kind of made me do through the coaching is spend time working on the business. Never done that. Never. Like, my whole week would just be focused on delivery. I would wake up on the Monday morning and it'd be like, right, list out the clients, what do I need to do for this one, and that just rammed my whole week. So it's like, it took me to a certain point where I was doing quite well, but it was never going to take me beyond that point.
Which I think, like, majority of individuals that are maybe not at the point of capacity, but they are starting to gain clients who start to realise how chaotic it actually becomes very quickly. Because if someone's paying you a retainer, say the retainer's $1,000, like, if you've came out of a job where you're earning $2.5 grand a month,
Yep.
and then you've got 3 clients that are paying you $3 grand total, and then you're like, shit, I'm making more than my wage. You start then fucking filling your diary with the same amount of fucking hours that you're working before, because you're trying to equate the time with the value that you're being paid, which doesn't fucking work. And then on top of that, you're actually fretting because someone is literally paying you £1,000 to get them shit and make things happen.
Aye.
And it's like, you're equating that £1,000 to a lot of fucking value as well. So you then think, I need to spend a fucking shit ton of time on this, and make it nuts, which I think so many people out there that are experiencing that. And it gets to a stage where you could always talk about numbers. You were like, what, 7.3k per month coming in. And I remember I was in Spain at the time when we had the call, and you were like, I need to hire, mate. I need to bring in a videographer. I need to bring in this. I need to change this. Don't know if I could like change my offer, change my pricing. And I was like, fuck. Like you were just, it seemed like you were in no man's land. You had a million different options of how to move forward. And I think, so many people will be in that similar position.
I think the kind of the manicness as well probably came from like those early stages of learning everything.
Yeah.
So then I was very much still doing everything.
Yeah.
So I'm signing the client, I'm building the funnels, I'm building the automations, the systems in the back end. I'm then going to meet the client, I'm filming the content, I'm editing the content. So very quickly that can become very time consuming. And again, I'm trying to juggle, like I'm not just juggling a couple of things, like I'm juggling 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things. So then if you've not got systems and processes in place, it's very easy to lose track of what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing as well.
What I was surprised about, I didn't really see it that often. You were so good at prioritizing like clients first. That was like your whole like mentality all the time. It was like clients first. Do you feel like you ever dropped the ball with clients? When I say drop the ball, it's like not meeting expectations, not meeting deadlines.
I think I wouldn't say results wise.
Yeah.
But I think definitely I've been in many cases where I've maybe like over-promised and not delivered on like a timescale type thing. Not in terms of like the end result. Like I've always got results for clients, but probably just like saying, "Oh, I'll have it done by this date."
Yeah.
And then like because I've not got the systems and processes in place, everything's manic. Like I've maybe forgot about something and it should have been done, and so I definitely dropped the ball in a few senses of that.
Because I think that is the consequence of like being, because I know for me, mate, it's like when I've got a lot in my plate, it's like in my mind there's a little trigger point where it's like I know I'm going to drop the ball with one of these fucking things, and it's like I'll get my notepad out, I'll fucking brain dump all the things I need to do, and it's like, right, cool, as long as I have that list I'll be fine. Then I'll be in the shower and I'll go, oh fuck man, I forgot those 2 things I need to add to that list. While I'm in the shower, fucking wet paper, try to fucking write some stuff on it. It's mental, mate, because I give you a lot of credit in that aspect where results were the primary thing. That's the thing that most clients care for. But like we spoke about before, it's like the mechanics. It's like they could be an expert and get your car fucking fixed, but if it's not in the time that they're telling you they're going to get it done, they're not fucking reliable from an aspect when they tell you they're going to drop off your car or whatever it is. Like all those things do start to play a point where it becomes like more painful than actually getting the result, and you start to think, can I just go elsewhere and get it done?
I think I probably got away with like that dropping the ball in the sense of time scales, but just because the results were there. Like even the simple stuff, like now that we've implemented, like mate, I never even done like client reporting, which is like mental. Like I never done end of month client reports, and I think the only reason I got away with it is because I had that constant comms with the client, and they could see the results. So they're not looking at the month end report because they know that the results are there, so they're not questioning like, oh, I need to see the report because I think it's not working. So I think I probably only got away with it in that sense. Yeah.
Which is fucking mental, because I know a lot of people listening to this just now be like, what the fuck, what, you didn't do any end of month report? It was like a kind of standard operating procedure that was like at the forefront of majority of people's minds. But like you said, like we just spoke about there, it's like if people are so focused on the 4-hour work week, fuck off to Bali, it's like that part is an integral part of communicating to clients the results that they're getting, which is the thing that they ultimately care about. But what is then neglected is all the kind of client comms throughout. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you speak to every one of your clients every day.
Most of them.
which is like for an agency, like, it's just unheard of
Most
nowadays,
of them,
man.
But even the reporting side of things and that, like, again, I got away with it because the results were there and the comms were there, but like, if someone's just starting out, I think they can over obsess about that stuff as well, like, because it's like, that's not the shit that's going to get your clients results.
Yeah.
So it's like, where are you best spending your time? Are you better spending your time learning how to run the ads and getting the results, or working out how to have a nice template report to give them at the end of the month that's got fuck all results in it anyway?
Yeah. Before we touch on the kind of 4 things that we kind of shifted and changed, try and get the best way to phrase this. I'll come back to it when it comes into play. The 4 things that we changed, what was the, like, in your mind? Yeah, like, let's just fucking write them off and then implement the actual changes themselves. So we started with the systems purely because of how manic you felt. The actual process, like, how was that for you? Like, what did that look like for yourself?
So I guess just stripping everything back and understanding what I was actually doing, or what also what I should have been doing. So even just simple things, mate, as well, like simple stuff like client payment trackers and that. Like, I was like, I'd get to the end of the month and I can remember who'd paid, or like, I had nothing in place for that. Onboarding as well. That was probably one of the key things, because my onboarding process is massively, like, there's a lot of tasks in it.
Yeah.
So there's actually just the general onboarding for the client, then I've got the system building high level, I've then got the development of all the high value content offer stuff, I've got the scripting of the ads for the clients, I've then got to go and film for the clients, edit the content needs to be edited in a specific way. So there's so many different moving parts to it. So I think that massively helped me to just have it's like we kind of split it into 3 different sections for the onboarding. So it wasn't just this massive onboarding process. It was like pre-onboarding call, and then it was like the content day, and it was split into basically just easy to digest sections. So I think that helped me massively. But just headspace, just to know that I can just go into Notion and see, right, this client's being onboarded, where are they at? Like, if I've done some yesterday, I can go back in, I can see, right, I still need to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm doing it in an order that makes sense, as opposed to an order that is like what Nick feels like doing when he wakes up. So it's almost like just getting shit done even when you don't want to do it, because you know that that's the process that needs to be followed.
And I think that's like, anyone listening to this just now that's maybe thinking, like, I don't know where the fuck to start with systems and SOPs or anything like that. Like, literally just think, like, what are you doing for clients from the moment they pay the invoice to the moment you offboard them? Like, what is everything fucking in there that you're literally doing, and write it all down, like every single fucking step, and then section off. Like, we started at the very start with even before actually the buy-in, we created a non-negotiable checklist for your ideal client. That was because Nick was guilty of taking on clients that weren't his ideal client.
So I just felt like I could I felt like I felt like it, and I wanted to help everybody, but the reality is that, like, what I have, although it is incredible, if put in the wrong business, is never going to work as well. Yeah.
So we created a non-negotiable list for Nick, essentially, that was like his ideal client requirements. It was like, they need to meet these requirements or be like there or thereabout. That then kind of took it out of Nick's mind when it came to a vetting process side of things. Then split into like onboarding, like Nick said. We then took the onboarding process, split it into fucking 3 different phases, made it easier to digest, and then before you knew it, you were into like the actual delivery of it. And I think anyone that's listening to this just now that's thinking, I don't know where the fuck to start with that shit, literally just get a pen and paper or get a Notion document open or get notes on your phone and just brain dump, like, from client pays to client leaves, what is everything you do. And you'll be there for a long time potentially to do so. Next that came after that was obviously the delivery process. You were, madly enough, mate, getting incredible fucking results, but you weren't doing the same thing every time.
So I guess again it's just systemizing that, like understanding that when I go out to do a client content day, what needs to be delivered. So breaking it down to how many scripts do I need? How many scripts do I need for direct offer? How are those scripts structured? How many scripts do I need for the high value content offer? How are they structured? and going to that day with a clear plan versus before I'd just be rocking up with scripts that were written the night before, and I maybe never got as much as I should, but again, because the strategy was good, I got away with it.
Yeah.
But in terms of it, done nothing to help my headspace doing that. So I just, again, systemising that so that it's non-negotiable. Like, this is how it's done and this is what I need to do.
Yep.
I need to get these scripts to the client X number of days before the content day so the client can look at them. The client can, like, quite often I'll get the client to add in some of their own stuff if it's potentially like speaking about a project, like the stuff that I can't write about.
Yeah.
So there'll be a placeholder in for them. So again, just the process of getting that to them in a timely manner, and just making sure that everything's streamlined and predictable.
Yeah, which is huge. And I think, like, one thing I didn't say there at the end, like, when it comes to the systems piece, we've done that to clear your headspace so that you weren't, like, feeling like you were manic, feeling like you were ever going to drop the ball with things. It was just making everything clear as fuck. The second reason that we've done that was because when you initially came to me, you said that you wanted to hire a videographer, and it was because you felt like you were at capacity. To me, at the revenue you were at, I didn't feel like it made sense. I said that to you. I was like, I don't think you should be hiring just now. I don't think you even need to. And at the time, Nick was doing 7.3k a month with 48% profit margins, which was, like, fucking great. Like, he's chilling, man. He could fuck all. He's making fucking way more than an average wage. But the stress and the chaos and the feeling like at capacity when you're only earning that amount was a big differentiator. And the reason we're running through this, by the way, guys, is because through the last 3 months of us just ticking off these 4 things, Nick has went from 7.3k to 19.5k, and he's got the blueprint to go to 50k a month. And even at that point, like, you could go all the way to there without even hiring, but you'd be bursting at the fucking seams. You would literally, your head would potentially burst. So just, like, extra context in case you think that we're just running through something for the sake of, like, running through it, like, it's proper tangible. It's something that, like, if you're an agency owner now, next journey of those fucking initial, like, 2 to 3 years to that point, everything Nick's spoken to, you can go away and fucking implement. And this can be implemented in pretty much any business as well. The things that we're talking through. When it comes to the second, so the delivery side of things, it was like, how do we make this fucking exceptional, and how do we give clients exactly what they want throughout every stage, basically, of when you're actually bringing them on board. So for us, when it's YNL context, when people join the network, they want to be around other people. So it's like, with the onboarding process, how do we make the onboarding process so that they speak to as many people as humanly possible? And then we just do that. And it was the same with yourself, where it was like, what are people wanting? They want results as fast as possible. And that was something I was going to mention earlier on, man. Like, you said your goal is, like, long term, to build a brand and, like, to give them almost like a predictable and scalable business on its own. But the thing that you also do is you do get them results ridiculously quickly as well.
So that is obviously the core part of the service, is getting people results and getting them quick. But I think that's what differentiates what I do from a lot of other people that are just running lead gen, is there's other components to it. Like, I'm solving other problems for them. So I'm not just solving the problem whereby they can't get enough leads. Like, I solve that, and then I know that traditionally, like in the past, if I plug this into their own business, they can't cope with the volume. So the volume's too much. Like, if they're getting 7, 8, 9, 10 leads a day through guide downloads, and they're maybe on the tools, off the tools, like, there's no danger there. They're not getting time to phone them. And then very quickly that starts to stack, because if you didn't get contact for 5 of them, that rolls into the next day. So for me, I think it was just solving multiple problems. So the result side of things, but then also, like, the brand centric approach. But I think that, again, like, I'd like to say that was, like, strategically planned, but again, I think I fell into it because it was always for me about, like, with these ads, how can I build the most trust possible? And, like, that was always going to be through, like, face to camera content, providing value. So then, like, it's almost like it indirectly just grows the brand in the local area anyway. Then the third one is just, again, the dealing with the volume. So a lot of these businesses, and you'd be very surprised as well, like, a lot of these multi-million pound businesses don't have the systems in place to cope with like high volume lead generation. So again, just solving that problem as well through obviously high level, and building them the systems that they can use to just, again, it's just headspace for them so that they can manage it more effectively.
Back to that initial thing, like the first thing I wrote down on this piece of paper, it's skill stacking. Like you've just never stopped, mate. You've never stopped like stacking skills. Like it's not just turn on some paid ads, and that's what people think it is, man. Like people think it's just turn on paid ads, but it's so much more to it, mate. And you've continued to, like, you're getting to a stage now where like it's no longer just a lead gen process. It is a full blown client acquisition system that will not generate leads, generate sales. Which is like
what we're doing with the offboarding company, me and Alan.
Do you want to talk through like what you're doing with the offboarding company?
So essentially Alan, I met Alan through John, through the network. Alan, I feel like I don't know who I'm speaking to here because I'm talking to you. Alan is basically a home improvement sales expert. He has vast experience working with the likes of Wren, like big brands in that space, so like Wren, C.R. Smith. He
has been on the podcast before. So I don't know who wants to check out these episodes.
So we just kind of got speaking to each other, and it was like, well, once we started speaking, it just became very apparent that he could solve the problems that I had, but I could solve the problems that he had. So for example, like if I was running lead generation for clients and they couldn't sell, that was like a stumbling block for me. Like I didn't have any answers for that, and I've had clients that churned because of that. Because ultimately, if they can't sell, then they just see me as an expense anyway. So I'm going to be the first to go. So I kind of seen that Alan could help me solve that problem. But then also Alan was doing sales coaching. So if he goes into a client and tries to coach them on sales, but they're not getting any leads, how can they practice what Alan's coaching them? So it just kind of clicked, and there was a natural progression for there where we got speaking, and to be honest, it's been very quick. We got speaking, and then I started introducing Alan to some of my clients that I knew that were struggling to sell. He's went in and he's made a massive impact in a lot of my clients' sales conversion rates, which again helps me with retention. Alan gets additional revenue, so everyone's a winner at that point. Then we kind of got brainstorming. We're thinking like there must be something else we can do with this, and then it kind of then again natural progression into what if we just sold for the client and took away every single headache that they've got. So because basically Alan was going and coaching them, but a lot of these guys didn't want to sell anyway. So like you can go and coach them and you can give them everything they want, but not like if they don't want to do it, then they're not going to be the best at it. So we found that a lot of the clients kind of where they were willing to learn it, they had other stuff in the business that they'd rather be focusing on, right? So they've got like their bigger picture stuff that they need to be focusing on. So we were like, right, what if we could just sell for the client? And then we just came up with a system for it and formulated it, and we plugged it into the offboarding company. This month they've sold, so successfully given the client, I think it'll be between 30 and 40 grand this month. And they've not had to lift a finger. So we've generated the leads, we've got a setter who has phoned and booked the appointment. We've sent a self-employed commission only based salesperson to the appointment who's then sold it, or if they've not sold it, they've followed up and sold it. Then the client literally just gets a text saying, Michael, you have a new sale, here's the contact details, phone them up and book it in. So it's like hands off, like it doesn't need to do anything.
If getting leads is a buzz, mate, imagine like how they must feel like seeing those fucking text messages pop up. Because imagine you just got a text, it's like you've got a new client, they paid their $2,000 invoice, let's roll. It's like,
and then it's like risk free as well, because if the sales guys go out and they didn't sell anything, like obviously they've still got their outgoing for their ad spend and stuff like that, but like it's pretty much risk free for them. Like because naturally what would usually happen is they would need to employ a salesperson. And a salesperson would run fucking rings around them. Because they just like the client doesn't understand sales, so how can they manage that salesperson when they don't know how to sell themselves? So that's another thing, is that they've got someone out going and selling for them under the brand as well. So again, it all comes back to the brand, where Alan's went in and he's documented the full sales process. He's understanding what the client, how the client wants things done.
Yep.
So how they want the brand to be portrayed. Because again, like a lot of my clients, because it's very brand centric, they're very like protective over, right, well, we can send somebody out to sell, but they need to be doing this and they need to be doing that. So the guys are going out in company workwear and stuff like that as well. But it's going really well. So
it's fucking
obviously just there's been hiccups and there's been things went wrong, like just guys maybe going out and selling something that was slightly measured wrong or whatever, but I guess that's natural as well, and the client's been very open to that, and so I guess it's just he can see that we're doing everything that we can to get it to a position where it needs to be. So
which comes back to that trust thing we spoke about at the start, right? It's like if you've communicated and built such a strong relationship with someone to the point that you can literally just like manage the full acquisition process for them and do it for them to the point that they don't have to do anything. The only worry I could imagine on their side would have been, fuck man, like these guys are going to basically be representing my company on the front facing.
Yep.
And the fact you built all that rapport and like trust, like there's no questions.
Aye, so I guess again, I guess it comes back to the relationship that you've got with the client as well.
Yeah.
For them to be able to say to you, you know what I mean, like just, fuck it, I'll just step back and you just do everything and like rely, because they're then fully relying on you to bring them in the revenue that they need to cover absolutely everything that they've got to pay for as well.
100%, mate. So I guess back to the kind of last 4 months then, also nailed the systems, basically nailed the delivery, which that was where Bob Garrity was created. Short context, guys, Bob Garrity is the role play guy that I'll transition into to basically, we basically just would build out a delivery process from top to bottom what Nick was doing. Would make it better from an aspect of like just us looking at it on paper, like what are the things that we can improve and implement. And then once that was nailed, we basically brought in Bob Garrity. We'd do practice runs and see how Nick actually felt delivering it and the steps that he took, which, yeah, like how did you feel during that process? How did you feel after actually, like when they're actually doing the delivery once we'd optimised it?
So once we started to go into the kind of like role play for the sales and stuff?
No, like once you'd like nailed the delivery and you then started, because you took it to the Edinburgh Boiler Company first, like the new delivery changes. Like how did you feel like taking those changes to those clients? How was it received by clients? Like what was the kind of progression?
I guess it just almost like confirmed in the client's mind that you were the right person to do it. Like even the thing where I've got like a 12-month game plan.
Yeah.
So that's the very first thing that I'll go through with the client. Yeah. And we'll outline absolutely everything that's going to happen in the next 12 months. So then they can see like this is a strategic thing. Like he's not just turning up here where like he's just fucking doing what he wants and hoping that something works. Like there's a very clear plan as to how this is going to look and what's going to happen and when. And I think that just makes the client feel settled. Like it takes the unpredictability out of everything. Yeah. So, and again, just builds that trust. So that type of stuff landed really well. Yeah. So I think that's been really good, to be honest.
I always think about like Ollie, someone that I always think about, which for anyone that doesn't know Ollie, Ollie's been like one of my closest friends since we were 14. He runs a cold email marketing agency. And see, when I say Ollie does the most amount of shit for these clients, but then doesn't even tell them what he's fucking doing for them, like, and I mean it's all good shit, but it's like he doesn't take the credit for it, so he'll just do things for them and then just fucking like they won't even know that he's spent X amount of money or X amount of time setting up this thing. He'll just roll up and he'll just be like, oh, by the way, I've just done this like wee thing for you. He'll play it off as well, and I think like that's the thing that what you've done like by implementing like the kind of 12-month game plan. It's like you're proving to the clients that you're doing strategic work. You're not rolling up and just saying, oh, I'm putting together this brand strategy, man, and we're going to do a high value content offer and all that. It's like, yeah, it sounds fucking exciting, it's good, but you're actually showcasing proof that that is how comprehensive you actually are, the standard that you actually set in the bar for like a proper top tier marketing agency, mate. Which, like, if you're someone that's listening to this, by the way, and you fucking do a lot of shit for your clients but you don't fucking tell them, like that is only going to bite you in the arse at some point in the future, because you're going to then start to build resentment because you're doing all these extra things for clients, and then you're literally going to be like eventually get to a stage where the expectations aren't being met and that resentment will take over.
Aye. It's like you're doing so much work in the back end and they're unaware of it, and then like it then becomes expected from the client side because they weren't aware that that's additional work, and then it's like you're setting the bar far too high that it's unsustainable as well.
100%. The third thing that we kind of checked off to go on that journey in the last 4 months was your offer, which was rather interesting. And I'll say on behalf of yourself, mate, Nick was getting that result with the garage conversion company. Nick was averaging anywhere between a 6x and a 73x return on investment for clients on a regular basis, and there was nothing less than 6x, and that's including ad spend and management fees. Like, it's not just.
I know, I think that was based on profit as well.
And it was based on
that
profit.
Was net profit.
ROI on fucking net profit, mate. Fuck. But Nick's offer was a flat 1.25 that he was taking to the clients for ads, and it was like, mate, you're getting like state of the art return on investment that, yeah, like you said, it's based on profit. It's not based on fucking just like revenue vanity figures. It's like proper fucking profit. And yeah, like I guess like there'll be plenty of agency owners out there just now that are maybe struggling with pricing, struggling with increasing it. What were some of the struggles that you kind of had at that time period, and how did you?
So I think what you helped me with massively is I'm a very like logical person. Like I am a risk taker, but I wouldn't say I'm a massive risk taker. So like I would have felt uneasy just increasing my prices if I couldn't see it in black and white what I was basically providing people with. So I think what we sat down and we built into a spreadsheet to just basically work out the return on investment that I was getting each individual type of client, what those numbers looked like. So basically, so that I could see how much I was making the client versus how much I was asking for.
Yeah.
And the numbers just really never added up. Like it was like way in the client's favour. Yeah. So I think that was one of the main points for me, was being able to see that logically. Yeah. So that I then had the confidence to increase the pricing. Because if someone just came to me and says, "Oh, Nick, you need to increase your pricing," I'd be like, "Well, how? Like, how am I going to do that, and how am I going to justify it?" Yeah. So it was almost like instilling the belief in me that I could increase the pricing.
Yeah. Because when we looked at like the garage conversion company, it was like 850k, 700k, which you could directly relate tangibly to yourself, and they'd paid you, like what?
So they do $12.50 a month. So you'll be what over the course of a year?
Like 18k. No. Maybe a little bit less, like there about 15k. Mm-hmm. So like 700k for paying 15k, and I think it was at that point like we were sitting and we were like, mate, this is like, this can't fly. Yeah, no. This can't fly for every client. Yeah, which is fucking mad. And then the last thing that you also we touched on already, predictable, scalable client acquisition system. Living off referrals. What would be firstly your advice to those that are living off referrals, and kind of like what those pains were actually like for yourself, like what are the challenges that were front facing?
So I guess I might have a different experience for other people out there in the sense that because my retention was so good, I'd never really seen churn. Yeah. So whereas I would imagine that a lot of people that are starting out are seeing a lot of churn. Yeah. Like if you've not got a strategy, if you're not too sure on what you're doing, you're just going to be setting people up and they're just going to be dropping off. So I never really experienced that headache, but I've completely forgot what you asked me.
Those individuals are maybe in the position where they're living off referrals, exactly kind of what you were. What were some of the challenges you were experiencing? And there'll be other individuals that are experiencing those challenges too. What would be your advice to get it?
So I guess it was just never knowing when a client's going to come in. So it's like you can never grow the business. And don't get me wrong, like it's fine if you just want to be someone that's going to work for yourself forever and you're quite happy and content with that. But if you want to grow it and you want to build a team and hire and bring people in, then there's no hope in hell that you can run a business like that. Yeah. Because you can't have the outgoings having to pay staff and then wondering when the next client's going to come in. Yeah. Or if you're paying for an office, wondering how you're going to pay for it because you've not got any clear direction on how to get clients. Yeah. So that was massive for me to just be able to have something in place that I know that if I put $2,000 into it, I'm going to get X amount of clients back on average. So it just makes it predictable. Again, it takes away the stress and the kind of unknown of like what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think like when it came to like it's funny, I read this actually to G this morning. If anyone doesn't know G, grew up, he's a leadership coach, and G, for the longest time that I've known him, is personal brand. That's where he generates all his leads from, and it's just referrals. Like that's literally just what it is.
Yep.
And I read him one of the pages from Sabri Subi's book, which is when he says, if you do not have a predictable and scalable client acquisition method of generating leads and converting them, you don't have a business.
Aye, what was it he said? It's an expensive hobby. Aye, an expensive hobby. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, like, mate, because I said the same thing, I can't remember who it was I said it to, but it's like, see when you're generating leads consistently from something like a personal brand or something that's like referrals, and you're not even paying anything from them, it actually warps your reality, like warps your how you see business, because you're expecting to just get leads for free.
Yep.
When in fact, like, you should be paying to acquire clients. And I think like if you end up spending years in fucking just like generating referrals and shit like that, then it does warp your reality somewhat. And as a result, when you start then having to spend, you're like, oh fuck, man.
Aye, like begrudge it as well.
Yeah,
because,
you do, man.
You feel like there's a way that you could possibly be doing it without spending the money. So
yeah, for sure, man. I'm mindful of it would be going for like an hour and 15 minutes already. So we'll touch on the kind of final point then, the client acquisition system. Like, what did we implement? What did it look like? And how are you then feeling about it now?
So again, I guess it was just getting direction from you. Obviously, you done the Becker stuff, so it was just getting like a clear direction and strategy on that. So I think, because I always had like, I have the tools in the box to build it.
Yeah.
Like I had all the tools that I would need. I've got all the skills that I would need to build something like that. Yep. But I mean, I was sitting on this shit for months. Like I always knew that I had to do it, but I was just like having the accountability and the structure in place to just go and action it was missing. So I guess you just leaning on your experience through the Becker stuff, which was just already enhanced any knowledge that I had on it, and then laying out a clear plan for me to take action on to actually just get it in place and get it running as well. Because I'm just very, I think I've always been bad for starting things and not finishing them.
Yep.
But it's like that shiny object syndrome. So I'd probably say I was going to build a funnel for myself to get clients.
Yep.
Then I'd be like, oh, maybe that doesn't look right, or and then it'd be like, maybe I'll just build another funnel.
Yep.
And then it gets to the point where nothing gets launched because it's like 80% complete, on to the next thing.
Yeah. Which it can become that kind of fucking vicious cycle, mate, which I think when you've got accountability, like for a start, but I think like anyone that has I realise that going through like the Becker's program, learning from like Gary Wilson and stuff like that, see when something is so, like the path is so clear, it's actually harder to steer off it than it is to like fucking just stay on it and just continue on that path. And I think it's making it really like fucking simple to follow is one of the keys. One of the things that you done after the system was implemented, which was a system that was generating leads through paid ads, we had a funnel, a VSL training, you had an abundance of value that you were offering on the back end that then got them onto a strategy call, and then we implemented sales framework, sales scripts, that sort of jazz. What were some of the changes you then started to make to obviously that was like what you spent 900 quid.
Yep.
Generated how much in retainers?
Two
off the back of it.
So what, 450 each.
450 each.
Aye.
Cost
per acquisition.
I was like, well, 450 quid retainer. I was like, what the fuck? So 450 per like client acquisition. You've got a retainer that's upwards of $2,000 a month. You're fucking flying, mate. Like absolutely flying. Was there any specific changes that you then started to make to optimize it already? Also, I know it's like on the horizon, but
so I think it just again at that point it was getting results, but it's then like there was a lot of time weeding shit. So it's then about just optimizing the quality of the lead. Yep. Again, these are things that if someone goes in to start running paid ads, it doesn't matter if it's for themselves or if it's for a client, like you're not going to have all the answers initially. Yep. Like you are going to have your finger on the pulse with it and be constantly watching it and optimizing it. So I just things like that, like just small things like putting on the opt-in form, like asking for their website so I could quite clearly see is it a decent lead or not? Is it worth me spending the time on the phone trying to chase them? So just small things like that. And then I think probably one of the bigger aspects would be like to do with the sales script.
Yeah.
It's like obviously we outlined the sales script, but I then felt that I was just reading off a script.
Yep.
But obviously we both had the understanding that had to be done for it to then be stripped back. So I felt that if I just stripped that back and bullet pointed it, I just felt a bit more natural to me when I was going through the call. And just, again, I could just deliver value, and I've got topics of conversation there as opposed to this is what you need to say. So just things like that to just refine it and optimise it.
100%, mate. 100%. Well, we're going to have to do a part 2, 20k to 50k per month. So when we hit the 50k per month mark, we'll hop back on, fucking crush it, and really go through. I mean, we covered a lot of kind of marketing secrets that I know for me, like I've only learned these things like through yourself or through Becca or through like Gary Wilson, and that's something that so many people, like, there's so much value here, guys, that you can go away and literally apply like into your business as a super actionable episode. So where can people find you, mate?
Instagram, Facebook. I've branded myself the trades marketer.
Nice.
I kind of veered. I had a business page set up and I kind of veered away from that. So I've went like full personal brand. I'm even running ads through my personal brand.
Nice.
And then LinkedIn as well.
Yep. Nick Garrity on LinkedIn. No Bob Garrity like you said.
Nah.
we'll need to set up a LinkedIn for him. But yeah, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been fucking class. If you're on YouTube, troops, these episodes are going up every 2 weeks. Make sure you subscribe for the episodes coming. Let us know what your favourite part was, the most actual point you can go away and apply to your business. If you're on Spotify, leave a review, and thank you so much for listening.